My amplified unit, SmackDown 8/9/24, your post SummerSlam blue brand bash. And there's no other way to put it. This was tough to get through last night. This SmackDown show was a tough watch. We started this show with a segment dedicated to Cody Rhodes gifting a title match for Bash in Berlin. Not just to another face, but a scenario that literally makes zero sense. The whole bulk of the show, the whole middle, match after match, number one contender matchups. And then Roman Reigns tried to save it for the finish, but the booking behind, crushing, annihilating your tag team champions just doesn't sit well. We'll talk all about it, SmackDown 8/9/24 post SummerSlam, and we're gonna do it right now. Cody Rotini and the Bloodline start this show. Cody refusing to give Solotin a title match at Bash in Berlin. Calvin Owens then jumps in the ring with two steel chairs. Calvin keeps one for himself and then gives one to his good pal Cody Rotini. This puts the Bloodline in retreat mode. It's only Solo and Guerillas of Destiny, by the way. So, Jacob Fatu, unfortunately, still on the shelf from that injury sustained at SummerSlam. So, when you're looking at Solo and Guerillas of Destiny, and you have Cody, Kevin Owens, two steel chairs, Bloodline is not looking that too intimidating, not so imposing. So, the Bloodline is just like, no, we'll see ourselves to the back. Deuces, ooses. And they go in retreat mode. But before Kevin Owens can leave the ring, Cody tells Calvin to come back. He wants to ask him something. So Owens obliges. Owens stays in the ring. And Cody proceeds to offer Kevin Owens a title match at Bash in Berlin in 3 weeks. Like the top prize, the North Star in the pro wrestling world, as Cody calls it. Kevin Owens is just gifted as if it's a birthday gift, right? Or it's sitting underneath a Christmas tree. He literally just gives it to him because he likes Kevin. He's appreciative of him getting his back for these last several months. To which Kevin, and I'm so thankful that he did this, he brought up his win-loss record. You never hear that in a WWE promo these days. You never do. It doesn't matter what era, you never hear about the win-loss record. And that's because the company's whole goal, right, is to obtain those fans, the kids, the families, those individuals where they don't need a lot of explaining. No matter what the company puts on their plate, they're going to devour it, and then they're going to ask, please, sir, can I have some more? And then afterwards, they're going to talk about how great the show was. And that's great for them. But on the flip of the coin, there's a lot of fans that need logic and common sense. We do need an explanation if we're going to go along for the ride. So Kevin Owens, knowing that, yes, you're going to have a ton of fans that are not going to ask any questions. Yay, Cody and Kevin for the title. But Kevin knows he's smart. There's a lot of us that are like, what? That doesn't even... How does it make any sense? First of all, it's face versus face. But on top of that, what has Kevin done? Kevin Owens actually, this was a quote. After Cody offered this match to him, this title match in 3 weeks, Kevin Owens says, and I quote, I appreciate it. But if you look at my win-loss record for the last year, you'll see I don't deserve it. Dude, that was so refreshing. For BC, no matter what happens next, because you know they're going Cody Owens, but at least you didn't try to dumbify all of us, right? At least you remembered all of the fans that need some logic behind this. We can't fully get on board unless you make it semi-believable. That was really cool, man. Too many times in this industry, we kind of get tossed to the side, right? Because it's so much easier for the company. And I get it, trust me. It's so much easier to use less creativity, spend less energy, and cater to the fans that are going to love it all anyway. No matter what they do, you could throw the same match out there 1,000 times in one calendar year, and they'll scream, "This is awesome," every time. Kevin Owens, man, he allowed us to get into this title match, right? My win-loss record, it'll show you I don't deserve it. I thought that was really cool. Now, if you're wondering, right, you guys know BC pretty much has all these wrestlers win-loss, all their record, it's pretty much on tap. So if you jump into the research of Kevin Owens' win-loss record, he does not have that, I'll put in air quotes, that bad of a win-loss record. In a company that 50-50 books most of their wrestlers, because that's what they do, and I always taught you guys, 50-50 booking does nothing for the wrestler and it does nothing for the company. Because if you're 50-50 booked, you told your audience this person is mid AF, they're average. They only win half of their matches, 50-50 booking we call it. So if you're wondering why there's not that many larger than life wrestlers the past 10, 15, 20 years maybe, aside from like John Cena, maybe Randy, a name or two more, I'm talking larger than life, right? Like we used to always pop out Hogan's, Warriors, Savages, Flairs, Takers, Stone Colds, Rocks. If you wonder why there's not, it's because most of the roster for over a decade, bare minimum, nobody's booked to be larger than life. Most of these wrestlers are booked average. 50-50 booking is what we call it. Kevin Owens is actually currently, for the last year, if you just take his words, he said he looked at Cody and he said, if you look at my win-loss record the last year, you'll see I don't deserve it. So let's do that. August 2023 to August 2024, one full year. Kevin Owens sits at a 68% winning percentage. 68. It's not great, obviously, but it's just passing. It's been a while since BC was cracking open those books in high school, but I do remember that 65 was the passing grade, and I know that because whenever I did pass, I was roughly around that 65. And trust me, there was a big smile when I got that 65 because I knew I had passed. So Kevin Owens is at 68%. At least it's better than 50. But he is correct. He actually does not deserve a title match because if you look at his last 13 matches, he only has 4 victories. All 4 tag team victories. 4 of his last 13, all of them tag team. And his last singles victory, you'd have to go back a half a year ago, February 19th. Or 16th, right? Because Friday was the 16th in February. So 16th was SmackDown. It was a SmackDown pinfall victory at least, over Dominic Mysterio. February 16th. That was the last time he had a singles victory. Way before WrestleMania even. And all of a sudden, through Hunter Hearst Helmsley booking, snap your finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat, Owens is going for the championship. So yes, numbers-wise, he is correct. He has done nothing to actually earn an undisputed title shot. But at least this makes more sense than Randy showing up on Raw. He is a SmackDown wrestler showing up on Raw and talking about something that happened 2 months ago when his shoulder was up. And then he said, like, I talked to Triple H and he thought the same thing. He's like, yeah, you do deserve another title. Or no, it wasn't even a title match when he had his shoulder up. So he was just talking to Hunter, and Hunter was just like, yeah, you should go for the title one day. But that whole promo, Randy never said that Hunter said that's what is happening, right? Randy was just still asking for the match. He just said Hunter agreed that it sucks his shoulder was up and he should get a match in the future maybe. So Gunther accepted it. So there was no definity to this. Randy just showed up on Raw and asked for a title match with the Raw World Champion. It just doesn't make sense. All just for Randy to eat that L in 3 weeks because they have nothing for Randy on SmackDown. They have nothing for Owens, so we'll have him eat a clean loss in 3 weeks to Cody. But at least this made more sense for a lot of us than Randy and Gunther, because they brought up the win. It's something that little, man. It's not so simplistic. It helps us jump along. And then Nick Aldis had to get in the middle of it. And Owens really did not want this because he didn't feel he had earned it, that he truly deserves it. And then it was made. I'm not saying this is the match I would make. I'm not saying I'm thrilled with this. I'm not saying this gets me excited at all. This is a Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes face versus face match. Stop. Of course, I'm not going to be too excited about it, but I do like that Kevin Owens saved this by the way he went about it. And again, Cody insisted. So backstage, Aldis finally made the match. So this took like 20, 25 minutes to finally sort through and just make a Cody versus Owens match. I was thinking, if that's the start of the show, I really hope this gets better, man. Because the whole show, we're just hanging on Roman's return, let's be honest. Because it was a weird show just on paper. It started off even weirder. And now we're just hoping that the Roman segment knocks it out of the park, Grand Slam fashion. Not just a solo home run. We want a Grand Slam for the finish. Because that was a rough start to this show. And again, the Bloodline. Could they look any more weaker? That's rhetorical. No. The Bloodline looks so damn weak. Forget the fact that they don't have Jacob Fatu. He's already injured. But you just have Solo and Guerillas of Destiny. They're not the biggest dudes, obviously. But just seeing them retreat from Cody and Kevin. I mean, they don't even have Randy Orton in the ring. It's just Kevin and Cody and the two steel chairs. And the Bloodline's retreating. It's like, damn. But you say, okay, well, the heels are going to do that, BC. But by the end of the show, the Guerillas of Destiny were absolutely jobbed out to the OTC. Is that what they're calling it? Out of thoughts and creativity? Hunter Hearst Helmsley? No. OTC. Original Tribal Chief, maybe, is what it stands for. I don't know. That's the new chant. At least we're not going, "This is awesome" every 5 seconds. Now they're chanting OTC. So, I mean, Guerillas of Destiny, man, they got their asses handed to them. The champions, by the way, at the end of this show. We'll go over it. But that was a rough start to the show. But I had to heap a lot of praise onto Kevin Owens, man, for trying to save this odd title match. Just like Orton and Gunther. Hunter is waking up in the morning, chucking baloney at the wall, and wherever it sticks, there it is. I don't know. This is just the strangest booking I've ever witnessed. First matchup of the night, Street Profits defeated Waller and Theory. Dawkins pins Theory. And we continue to do these redundant, what I call win and get in matchups. Instead of telling stories, we always do this schmozzery to pluck a tag team into a title match. Right? That's how we choose number one contenders. We've been doing it for years under VKM, under HHH. Doesn't matter. No thought, no time, no energy gets put into the tag division. Ever. It's always, every single time we need to get a number one contender, we are doing some stupid tag team battle royal, or a tag team tournament, or tag team turmoil. Or they just out of nowhere just say a tag team is going for the titles in 2 weeks. All right. They have nothing to do with the champions, but that's the match you're going to get, because hopefully we'll get good wrestling and we'll chant "This is awesome." This is a mini tournament, right? You had 2 tag team matches last night. The winners of each will face each other next week, and then they will go for the tag titles bash in Berlin. It's not a story. It's not a story. I call them win and get in matchups. It makes it so easy for creative. They don't have to spend any energy, any time on this. You take your crayons, you take your postie pad, and you can write all this out. You can write weeks of television in 3 minutes. And then you wonder why the audience doesn't care about the tag team division, because there is no tag team division. In order to have a relevant tag team division, you have to get your audience invested. In order for your audience to be invested, you have to have a relevant tag division. It's a catch-22. So now it's a game of what foot goes forward before the other. Are you going to finally make a relevant tag division for us to get invested into? Or are you just going to hope that we just get invested into a pot of nothing? It's like boiling water, but putting nothing into it. And then serving that for dinner. Here's your boiling water. And we're supposed to eat it and go, that was awesome. There's nothing. There's nothing in this tag team division. We went over it several times last week. You look at all the titles changed hands around Mania. I think you guys said the women's was Backlash, maybe, when Jade and Bianca won those. But the two men's tag titles, you got Miz and R-Truth became champs. Waller and Theory became champs. Both have already lost their titles. Right? Miz and R-Truth to Judgment Day. Waller and Theory to DIY. And then DIY had already lost theirs to Bloodline. Jade and Bianca won their titles after Mania. They've already lost theirs to Alba and Isla. So titles are switching left and right. And throughout all of those title changes, nobody ever cared. It was never a big story. And here we are last night, and they're just like, we have two title matches, two tag team matches. It's going to be a mini tournament, and the winners of those matches face each other next week, and the winner of that, man, I'm like, why? DIY are we doing it, man? Just have a story. It's okay to set two tag teams and give them a massive epic story. If it's Bloodline and DIY, instead of wasting 2 weeks doing a mini tournament just to get back to DIY and Bloodline, by the way, which is where they could be going, instead of doing that, have a story build. Brew. Let it breathe. DIY, they get a title rematch, right? We'll believe it. It's what happens. Okay, they get a title rematch. And now you build up that story. It should have started already last night, man, in the parking lot, in the street, on the roof. You give them an epic storyline. You get us intrigued to see DIY versus Bloodline. Instead, we're going to waste the next 2 weeks like this. The match will be made after maybe next week, and then with less than 2 weeks left, here you go. There's your Bash in Berlin title match. We're going to see if DIY can get their titles back. Or we could just do it the right way, man. Stop with this nonsensical tournament crap. Or is this just their way to get everybody on TV? We have a bunch of tag teams, no division, but a bunch of tag teams. We'll put them all out there. And then when people complain about the tag team division, we'll say, what? We're utilizing tag teams. I don't know what this is doing for anybody. All of this will get us back to what? A DIY Bloodline match. Is that really making you whip your wallet out, take out a credit card and buy Peacock for $10 or $5 a month? Jade Cargill defeats Alba Fyre in roughly 2.5 minutes via pinfall off her jaded glam slam. Still got to give props to Beth Phoenix. Post-match, Blair Davenport on the attack, Naomi for the save. Same thing you say about or that can be said, and that is being said about the tag division, is the same thing you can say about the women's division. No time, no energy, no effort put into this. Hunter Hearst Helmsley does not know what to do with this women's division, just like the tag division. No clue. Which is odd. It was one of his strong points in NXT. Not a clue. That was the only match for the women, by the way. If you're wondering. 2.5 minutes. Jade and Alba. And Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport. Oh, man, this is getting good. Naomi for the save. I love Naomi. You know that. I put Bianca Belair on a pedestal. I have such high hopes for Jade Cargill, even though a lot of the community bashes her, says how green she is. It ain't working. It's not clicking. But I see so much value in Jade, especially Bianca. And obviously, you guys know I love Naomi. I don't know that this is not fun. This is not intriguing. This is a mess. It's like they're trying to fit all, 6 of these ladies in a 3.5 minute segment. What is it leading to? Naomi and Blair Davenport. Wow. Take 2 credit cards. And what are they doing with Jade and Bianca, man? This is getting so weird. Jade is being introduced, and Bianca is just like being the cheerleader. I guess all we can say is like one of them will turn on the other. Okay. The champions don't feel like champions. Alba and Isla, they were plucked just because they were in Scotland for Clash at the Castle. So they were like, you guys, get out of catering. We're going to put the titles on you. They're literally in tears when they won that matchup. Right? Because they're bona fide faces in Scotland. But then all of a sudden they got to go back in the heel mode when they hit the States, which is the majority of the time. You know, nitpicking, absolutely, at this point. And it has to be. You know, we get some good storylines as of late. That's the good part, right? The Judgment Day. And the Bloodline was for what it was. Cody, Bloodline leading in the SummerSlam, awaiting the return of Roman Reigns. We'll see what they do with the Wyatts. But like I said, Judgment Day with Dominic and Rhea and Liv. So we get some good things up at the top. Everything else seems like there's just no care, or they're just lost. Tag team division, beyond irrelevant, basically non-existent. The women's division is downright criminal and tragic. And the mid-card is redundant AF. Doesn't matter if it's the Raw side, right? You'll get Braun Breaker versus Dragunov every other week that you're not seeing Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. On the blue brand, you're going to see Escobar and LA Knight every single week till the end of time, it seems. Or Escobar versus Andrade. Mello versus Andrade every other. It's just the same people in the same matchups, and that's the problem when you're not doing storylines. And then at the PPVs, the PLEs, then you put these superstar versus superstar matchups together. But if you're just going to have your wrestlers wrestle each other every single week, you're going to you're going to run out of people. You're going to end up doing the same matchups, and it's going to be so damn stale and redundant. And that's what we're getting. It's okay to introduce jobber matches, then have Mello come out. Then have an interference or distraction, or somebody's up on the Tron, or after the jobber match, the other superstar, the heel superstar, attacks the face backstage in the parking lot. You have to get creative. But you can't keep having Escobar Andrade matches or LA Knight Escobar matches. You can't keep doing Braun Dragunov. I'm just using them as examples. Everything under just a couple, 2-3 decent to good storylines, everything else is downright criminally tragic. I don't know what this was supposed to do for the women's division. Backstage, they just had the only other women's segment was Tiffany Stratton coming across Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Now, those characters are kind of similar in some ways. So on one hand, it's like, hey, that's an interesting interaction. On the other hand, it helps nobody. Those are both your heels. Tiffany and Nia have to be bona fide, diabolical heels, right? Because whoever takes that title, which it could be Charlie Flair when she returns, Queen versus Queen, you know they're setting that up. But you know that Tiffany and Nia, it's the numbers game. They have to be the diabolical heels, but Chelsea is a heel at heart. She just is. Chelsea Green should not be a face. Why is she trying to outsmart the other heel? One of them, I told you guys this long ago when you had Bronson Reed versus Gunther. And Bronson was defeated to crickets when Gunther left. Nobody cared about Bronson in the middle of the ring. I'm like, why would you do that to that dude? You just out-heeled him. Gunther out-heeled him. So Tiffany is either going to out-heel Chelsea, or a miracle could happen, because Chelsea is damn good at what she does. Chelsea could out-heel Tiffany maybe. But one of them's not going to win. So why are those two heels having this? You had no other baby faces? that you could have Tiffany talking crap to? It's an odd, befuddling, sad women's division. And that is unacceptable with the talent that they have. And this was supposed to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley's strong point in NXT. But maybe that's just an NXT way to do things, right? Because Shawn Michaels emphasizes his women more than anything as well. So maybe that was more NXT. Maybe that was a lot of Dusty Rhodes and William Regal really ironing out that division and not so much Hunter. Because this ain't it. That was your first hour. Cody challenges his pal Kevin Owens to a title match, and we spend a while trying to get that just made official by Nick Aldis. Profits defeat Waller in Theory in a tag team match out of nowhere, and Jade Cargill defeats Alba Fyre in 2.5 minutes. When you sum it up like that, right? How else am I supposed to review this, man? This is as honest of a review as you can possibly get. We're going over it, man. Anybody go, I don't know, BZ, this show was amazing. Which part? Profits defeating Waller in Theory? Or Jade over Alba in 2.5 minutes? Or was it that amazing promo where Cody challenged Kevin Owens and the Bloodline ran away? Maybe hour 2 was better. Well, let's find out. Hour 2. LA Knight starts hour number 2. Quick promo. Crowd chants, "You deserve it." They're going to do this for every new champion now, guys. It's gotten out of hand. We're starting to see it already, right? It's every champion now. For a while, for a couple years, it was like every other champion. Every single new champion is going to get "You deserve it." Braun Breaker got it. The guy Braun Breaker has not been on the main roster for more than a cup of coffee. More than a cup of coffee. And he's already gotten "You deserve it." Gunther, you deserve. Gunther is the world champion. What do you mean he deserves it? He has just been there a couple of years, tops. If he deserves it, then everybody deserves it. And Gunther is one of my favorite dudes. You guys know that. Walter. And I know what he did before WWE. You deserve it. Gunther is already the world champion. It doesn't stop. Then you have to say it. Tozawa would get "You deserve it" chance. Mello just got to the main roster. If he won it tomorrow, "You deserve it." You'd have to say it to everybody now. We are just giving out "You deserve it" like dudes have been on the main roster for 12 years and they finally got the ultimate prize. We're acting like these guys have been there forever. Braun Breaker, Gunther, what are you talking about? They deserve it because they bust their ass in the weight room? They busted their ass in NXT or around the indies for a few years? Stop! Because when somebody comes around who's had a 20-year career and they finally won their first title maybe, so a situation like that, and you yelled "You deserve it," it is going to be so empty. It's going to be such an empty gesture. I say that all the time about "This is awesome." How many times is a match just start, right? And they did some cool little catch can for 2 minutes, and all of a sudden you start hearing "This is awesome." And you're like, wait, that's what we gave Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania 25, the greatest match in pro wrestling history. Doesn't matter to the company. Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania 25. This is awesome. That's what we put everything now. At least 10 times a show you hear "This is awesome." Because it's what we do now. We just have to show the respect for every little thing, which diminishes its value in the moments and circumstances where the situation calls for it. So LA Knight is out there, and you can tell he could not stand it. He has said this in interviews. He can't stand all the stupid chants. I know a lot of you guys don't actually watch the shows. You just listen to BC's reviews on the shows, and I appreciate that. But if you happen to catch this promo by LA Knight, when the "You deserve it" chants are raining down, you see how uncomfortable Knight is. In fact, he even diverts it. He didn't play to it when he got back on the mic. He let them get it out of their system, and then he diverted it. He's like, yeah, well, Logan Paul deserved the ass beating he got Saturday at SummerSlam or something like that. but he took it right off of himself. He does not like that type of stuff. So it was very cringeworthy hearing everybody chant, "You deserve it," when you know, from his own words in past interviews, he does not like that stuff. So it was I'm like, oh, poor LA Knight, man. Stop. Everyone has to stop. Every time there's a new champion, you don't have to scream out from a mountaintop, "You deserve it." And it just breaks the whole story that's, I guess, trying to be told. When it's heels, it's so cringeworthy, man. Braun Breaker, Gunther. Like, what are you doing? Gunther's calling y'all street trash and you're screaming, "You deserve it." Stop. So odd, man. So LA Knight has to stop his promo so everybody can scream, "You deserve it." And it's lost any value it once had. Santos Escobar hits the ring, cuts a promo on Knight, and then has a number one contenders match with Andrade. Sound familiar? Aren't we doing that with the tag titles? Come on, man. It's okay, right? It's okay to just be like, damn, PC is right. BZ is actually right. We're having this mini stupid tournament just to come up with number one contenders for the tag titles. On the same show for the other title, the US, we're also doing a number one contenders. And then they want you to believe what? That this is the storyline. It's part of the storyline to what? LA Knight and Escobar again? Because that's what happened. Santos defeats Andrade. I believe that was, by the way, the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating roll up. That's right, just rolled up Andrade. There was some interference from Mello, though, so we'll give it an asterisk. Mello came out because I guess they're trying to do something with Mello and Andrade. I feel like I've seen that a couple, 2-3 times already. So Santos pins Andrade, and Santos becomes the number one contender for LA Knight's championship. I think that's next week, not Bash in Berlin. Maybe that's next week on SmackDown. Either way, Santos, LA Knight. If you feel like you've seen that match before, okay? You guys know I always got the numbers, I always got the stats. If you feel like you've seen that match, you have. You have seen that match 6 times since March. July 19th SmackDown, just a few weeks ago, was the last time, one-on-one. 6 times. A couple of those 6 were like a tag team or like maybe it was like a triple threat, maybe one of them. But the majority of those 6 was straight one-on-ones, guys. Santos, LA Knight. And that's what I mean. If you're okay with it, and you're going to watch this and jumping off the couch and yelling, "This is awesome" from home, and you're totally cool with it, and after the show, you're going to talk about how great the show is. That's great for you. Honestly, I'm not even ripping that. If you're fine with it, that's cool. But I hope you can see why a lot of us are like, dude, enough. We're done with the same match over and over. This will be 7 times since March. 7 times. This is primetime television, man. You have to get more creative than that. That's all that fans like BC, that's all we're asking for. We love this, right? We're not hate watching it. We're not trying to rip it apart because it's a cool thing to do. Look at my SummerSlam review. How thrilled I was for most of that. Like a kid in a candy store, man. Watching it as if I was a kid again. It was great. If it's good, you're going to hear about it, man. We're going to prop it up. We're not just going to talk about something good for like a quick minute so we can get to the bad stuff and rip it apart. I'm going to put the good stuff up on a pedestal and we're going to talk about it for a while because it's good. And that's what we want. But you look at this SmackDown show and a lot of it, let's just call it what it is. A lot of this sucks. Number one contenders match. Why, man? Just have a fun story ready to be kicked off last night with that US championship. And then you build that to your next PLE. But no, we waste a whole segment for the US title last night on a little tournament style or a number one contenders match. Now next week you're going to get the same. I think it's next week. They could save it to Berlin. Or maybe there's some schmozzery next week and it gets us to Santos and LA Knight for an 8th time at Bash in Berlin. When I ask, can we do better? It's rhetorical. Of course we can, and we should be. Creatively. DIY then defeat Pretty Deadly via the Shatter Machine Meet in the Middle combo finisher. Shatter Machine then Meet in the Middle. Pretty Deadly is defeated. DIY moves on in this little mini tournament. So now you're going to get Street Profits versus DIY. Faces versus faces. Or at least I believe Street Profits are faces again. Remember when they oddly turned heel because they joined with Lashley and out of nowhere they became heels? And then when Hunter Hearst Helmsley had nothing for Bobby Lashley anymore, the Profits out of nowhere, not even slowly but surely, but just instantly turned face again. And now they're taking on other faces, DIY, so when the match actually happens, audience is going to be split, and one of these teams is not going to get the reaction to its full totality. That's what I mean. Heel versus heel matches. One heel is going to out-heel the other, which is going to ruin the other heel. And face versus face matches. It will rip apart the reaction you could be getting as a face. This is mind-numbingly bad booking by Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Profits DIY. And I ask, without the DI, just why? A mini tournament and we get right back over to DIY Street Profits. All of this is what? To get back to Bloodline's DIY. And do you what? Play hot potato and give the titles back to DIY? Is that really going to propel your tag division, playing hot potato? Solo then calls out Roman Reigns in the main event segment. No match, just a segment. Solo calling out Roman. He does get Roman Reigns. I don't know about all this hoopla at the beginning of his entrance theme, guys. It's way too long at the beginning. When something is really good, don't try to fix it. If it don't need fixing, don't fix it. Roman's theme song is great. Don't touch it. Don't touch. For something like SummerSlam, all right, you want to drag it out, make it... Something like that, man. Roman just needs to come out and he's ready to whoop everybody's ass, get his tribal layback. You know, you're not going to wait 5 minutes just for your song to kick in and then you can come out. That was really odd. We can cut a good 2 minutes off the top of that intro, guys. But Roman does come out. He hits Solo. Tin gets hit with a Superman punch. Then he escapes a spear. I think the Guerillas of Destiny were able to get him out. And then the Guerillas of Destiny were just not so lucky. They just got their asses handed to them. They were given a tribal beating, is what I put in my notes. And Solo talks trash as we go off the air. But the Guerillas of Destiny had like chair shots, several Superman punches. I think at least one. Both actually got a spear. One in the ring, and then one was put through the barricade on the outside. So, an absolute ass whooping of Guerillas of Destiny. So on one hand, it makes Roman look like the badass, get that reception from the crowd. That part was good. The downside of this is Bloodline's like done. And they're holding tag titles, which is so goofy. That's why DIY shouldn't have lost them then, if that's the case. But here is the Bloodline. You start the show, the Bloodline is running away from Cody Rotini and Calvin Owens. Running away from them. And then the end of the show, they're just getting their asses handed to them. Well, that stays in your subconscious, at least for the next 7 days. So when they come out on SmackDown next week, what's left for Roman to do? Finally give one more Superman punch to Solo and take his tribal lay. I don't know if I would have had Roman just completely annihilate the group like that. Totally have Solo run away to the top of the ramp and absolutely destroy your tag team title holders. You could have had Roman, a definitive beast, and get that reception without taking your tag title holders and absolutely treating them like Barry Horowitz and Brooklyn Brawler. And if you don't know who they are, jump into your history books. Barry Horowitz and Brooklyn Brawler. I didn't see anything different between them and the Guerillas of Destiny last night. That was not a good SmackDown show. That is pretty obvious. Very odd intro, just like Raw, setting up Randy and Gunther, which is so weird. Cody versus Owens is your part of your double main event at Bash in Berlin, it looks like. So Cody and Owens took us 20 some odd minutes to get to that. That's how we started. The end of the show was just Roman beating up your tag title holders, and then the whole middle of the show was 2.5 minute women's segment, a weird tag team mini tournament, and LA Knight deserves it. A number one contenders match for his title. So no storylines really ignited, just a bunch of number one contender matchups so that we can just pencil in matchups and everybody will whip out their wallets anyway, right? I don't know, man. I just wish there was more creativity put into this show, but maybe they're running on empty ever since SummerSlam, right? Maybe their tanks are empty. Hunter Hearst Helmsley just wants to take a nice long nap while the rest of us put our dome pieces to a brick wall. That's what I got for you. SmackDown 8/9/24. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Bash in Berlin is just 3 weeks from tonight, guys. How crazy is that? And it's Germany, so it's probably going to be the daytime for most of us. But it's the 31st of August, not September. It's the end of this month. So we're going to kick it into high gear on this channel, as WWE should be doing with their programming. Until next time, there will be that next time. Top guys, we're all BC in the unit saying check you. Peace.